What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kinetik 615 back for night 2 of the NFL draft. And last night I was on over at Vikings Playbook with Steve. He's not able to do it tonight, so I'm just going to go live on my channel here. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow me everywhere on social media. Links are in the video description. Actually, give me 1 second. I need to fix something on my camera. 1 second, guys. All right, there we go. Got the proper background now for the NFL draft. And we are 2 minutes away from pick 33 in the NFL draft 2026. Let me know what you guys are hoping for tonight, how you're liking your team's draft. Now, obviously, I am a Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm not super happy with my team's first pick in last night's draft. Not that I don't like the player, but I just think it was a bad process, and I don't like what went into the pick. I feel like they could have done more, but we'll get into that. Sharing the link out real quick. So for me, I think the biggest surprises last night. I mean, I think you got to put Ty Simpson up there as a surprise. I mean, if anybody saw the comments by Sean McVay post draft, you can tell that he was not happy with the Ty Simpson pick. He was not excited. Man, I would have hate to have been in those conversations that happened with the Rams today. But he was not happy. He was basically saying, "Yeah, he'll come in and compete with Stetson Bennett." Wow, that was interesting. I think the Carnell Tate pick at 4 was a knee-jerk reaction to the Cardinals sniping the Titans and taking Jeremiah Love, and I think that it was in my opinion, a bad pick. Not that I think Carnell Tate's not a good receiver. He is, but in my opinion, he's going to be a very high-end wide receiver 2, like a T. Higgins. He's not a wide receiver 1, in my opinion. At no point did we see him be the best receiver on any team that he was on at Ohio State. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I definitely think that with the Vikings pick of Caleb Banks, it's not that I don't like Banks. I don't like offensive or defensive linemen with foot injuries. I don't like offensive or defensive linemen with lower body injuries. But foot injuries specifically, they linger. They don't heal. They don't go away. They're always there. It becomes very fragile. I like Caleb Banks. I mocked him to the Vikings a lot until I found out about the history of that particular foot injury. And then I mean, me along with pretty much the entire mock draft community had him in the second round. And it looked like pretty much every other team had him listed as a second round player, where the risk of that injury red flag is much lessened to a large degree. The fact that there was not another defensive tackle taken for 10 spots after the Vikings took theirs, that there were 3 trades where teams traded up between that and the next defensive tackle pick. And Dylan Thieneman was there on the board. It's not like Thieneman was gone, McCoy was gone. Now, I do think McCoy, the team doctors for the Vikings, did not clear McCoy with his injury history. But Thieneman was right there, man. The Eneman was right there, and you left him on the board to reach for a D tackle when there's 9 top tier D tackles in the draft, and you didn't have to, and you didn't trade back. You didn't get any. You could have traded back to 23 with the Eagles, gotten a 4th or 5th round pick, and then still taken Caleb Banks. You could have traded back to 26 and still taken or 28 with the Texans and gotten an extra pick or two in that trade, and then still taking Caleb Banks. In my opinion, if you're going to reach for a D tackle, reach for Caleb or Caden McDonald, reach for Peter Woods. I would have taken them above Caleb Banks. I probably would have taken Lee Hunter above Caleb Banks. I might have taken Big Citrus before Caleb Banks just because I do not like foot injuries on big men. That's just me. I'm not B-Flow. I'm not Kevin O'Connell. Maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, then great, because then my team got a good pick, and I was wrong. And I'd love to be wrong about this, but my faith in the Vikings draft process, where they have been statistically the worst drafting team in the NFL for the last 5 years, I don't have confidence in them. I don't believe in their process, and they haven't done anything to restore that faith, in my opinion. So I think it was a bad pick in the way that it was handled. Not that the player's bad. I think the player has incredible upside and incredible athletic ability, but not at 18. Not at 18. Anyways, draft night 2 is starting. Roger Goodell is at the podium. He just kicked it off. 49ers are on the clock with pick 33. Now remember that the 49ers traded back twice last night out of the first round. I think that happened after their guy got taken right before them. We'll pull up the draft from last night so I can see it. So yeah, I think who was it that got picked right before them? I want to say it was Casey Concepcion was probably who they were looking at. Or no, it was Caleb Lomu. I think they traded back from 27 to 29. And they were going to take Lomu, and then the Patriots traded up to get Lomu. And I think that's why they traded out of the first round. And that 29 was when the next defensive tackle went off the board, Peter Woods. You're telling me that the Vikings reached 11 spots ahead of time before there was even a run on defensive tackles to take a guy that I would have ranked lower than Peter Woods. Caden McDonald is still on the board. Like, there's no reason we couldn't have traded back from 18. No reason, in my opinion, why we could not have traded back from 18 and gotten more in value, and then still taking Caleb Banks if that was their guy. If that's your guy, get your guy. But I don't know. Who are the 49ers going to pick here? According to PFF, their biggest needs are guard, tackle, edge, and safety. I mean, EMW, Emmanuel McNeil Warren is right there. Let's see, who's still available? Cassius Howell's still on the board. If they want to go edge, TJ Parker, edge, still on the board. Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon, the guard, he's there. Zion Young from Missouri. R. Mason Thomas. I seen quite a few mock drafts leading up to the draft that had R. Mason Thomas right there on the edge of round one, round two. What if they went wide receiver? I mean, Jeremy Bernard, Chris Bell, they're both still on the board. Denzel Boston's still on the board at wide receiver. Gabe Jacas is still on the board. AJ Halsey, who I'm hoping falls to Minnesota in round two after they screwed up round one. They could go Jennings Dunker, the tackle from Iowa with the incredible mullet. Chris Brazzell, Skylar Bell, a couple other wide receivers, Bryce Lance. How funny would it be if the 49ers drafted Bryce Lance? Interesting. So on NFL Network on the draft, they just put up a statistic that shows San Francisco has the fewest defensive sacks last season with only 20. So maybe they go edge here with Cassius Howell or TJ Parker. We'll see what happens. Wow. San Francisco had all night, 24 hours to figure out their pick, and they're taking their time. And as I said that, the pick is in. Let's see who they kick off night two by taking. And real quick, just to recap while we wait for the pick to come out, for those that didn't see the draft last night, picks 1 through 5, Fernando Mendoza to the Raiders, David Bailey at number 2 to the Jets, Jeremiah Love to the Cardinals at 3, Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State, to the Titans at 4, Arvell Reese, the edge rusher slash linebacker from Ohio State, to the Giants at 5. 6, Kansas City traded up with the Browns to pick Mansour Delane. The Washington Commanders took Sonny Styles at 7, Jordan Tyson to the Saints at 8, Spencer Fano at 9 to the Browns, Francis Maui Noah, offensive tackle, to the Giants at 10. That's the pick that they got in the Dexter Lawrence trade. Caleb Downs goes at 11 to the Cowboys, Caden Proctor at 12 to the Dolphins, Ty Simpson to the Rams at 13, Oliva Venga Duwani to the Ravens at 14. Okay, hold on. We got punter Andy Lee announcing the pick for the 49ers. He was the 6th round pick by the Niners in 2004. Wow, Dejon Stribling goes early in the second round, first pick of the second round. That is way above where he was slotted to go. And I know he was a target of the Vikings, so that sucks. I mean, Just looking here, based on PFF's big board, Dejon Stribling was, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He was the 13th best wide receiver still on the board according to PFF. And the 49ers went and got him with the first pick in round 2. Wow. That either they know something the rest of the league doesn't, or that's a massive reach. Wow. Interesting. They picked Stribling over Denzel Boston, over Chris Bell, over Jeremy Bernard, over Chris Brazel, over Skylar Bell. Wow. I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Stribling. I on my personal board, I would have probably had him the fourth fourth best wide receiver on the board, maybe fifth. So a little bit of a reach, in my opinion. Cardinals already got their pick in. Let's see who the Cardinals go with. Chase Basantis for the Cardinals. Chase Basantis, the guard out of Texas A&M. Let's see what we got on Chase Basantis. All right, so Basantis, let's see. 6'5", 315. Not quite 22 years old. This is what PFF has on him. Basantis posted a 62.4 PFF grade in 2025 across a career high 795 snaps after earning marks of 55.2 in 2023 and 70.2 in 2024. He ranked in the 56th percentile in run blocking grade on zone runs, 23rd percentile on gap runs, and 59th percentile in pass blocking grade on true pass sets. Interesting. The biggest concern for me with the Suns is that his best games were against pretty much the worst teams that they played. His grades against other good teams are very modest, in my opinion. Now we got the Bills on the clock for 35. And the pick is in for the Bills at 35. They didn't really waste time there. Let's see. So for the Bills, let's see. So they've already no, they haven't picked anybody yet. The Bills need offensive line, interior D line, linebacker, and safety. Could we see CJ Allen or EMW go here? Emmanuel Pregnon, maybe, or Caden McDonald. They have their pick of some very good, I mean, first round talents at every position of need, except I don't think Pregnon was a first round talent, but he's the best guard on the board by far. I actually have Pregnon higher than Basantis personally, but I don't know. I think if I were the Bills here, I'm probably taking Caden McDonald. They're changing over to a 3-4. They need a good nose tackle in the middle. I'd probably go Caden McDonald, but let's see how they go. $35 with the 35th pick, according to Shane Conlon. TJ Parker. They called him a linebacker. Interesting. So TJ Parker listed as an edge. They just called him a linebacker. Okay. Okay. I can see that. Like I said, they're moving to a 3-4. So they need that edge rusher. I can see the TJ Parker pick. I can see. So let's see. TJ Parker on PFF, 6'3", 260 pounds, just under 21 and a half years. Says Parker's a well-rounded edge defender who does many things at a solid level but lacks a true difference-making trait. He projects as a rotational player with starting potential if he develops more strength or explosiveness. He's a former 4-star defensive lineman from Phoenix City, Alabama. Earned 3 starts as a true freshman. Been a full-time starter ever since his sophomore year. Versatile player that can rush from both left and right sides as well as align anywhere from a 4 to a wide 6 or 7 technique. He is a competitive run defender with strong run defense grades and a high solo run stop percentage. As a pass rusher, his 6'3", 265-pound frame gives him a solid combination of size, length, and strength. Though he is not a true difference maker in any single area, he has a good first step, but his short stride length limits how effectively he can threaten the outside shoulder with speed. He shows solid hand usage and a variety of pass rush moves, but relies too heavily on hesitation bull rush. So that's the PFF take on TJ Parker. I don't disagree. I think that he was not in the most favorable situations this year with Clemson. Their defense really went to a low pressure system, and so his production from a stat standpoint really kind of suffered. But I think he'll be good. Now it's on commercial. So yeah, so the next pick in the draft, we've got the Raiders on the clock for their second round pick. Of course, they took Fernando Mendoza, QB, with the first pick in the draft. Maybe they're looking at receiver, safety. They definitely need to shore up the offensive line. I could see a defensive lineman too, since they lost Wilkins. So, I mean, Emmanuel McNeil Warren is here. Denzel Boston, if they want to go wide receiver, would probably be a good fit for Mendoza. They could go with Pregnon, although I think they probably want to tackle on their offensive line. Maybe look at Lee Hunter if they want to replace Wilkins here. If it were me, I think Dunker's probably a bit of a reach for them here. And they do have another pick at 67. If it were me, I'm going with either Emmanuel McNeil Warren or Denzel Boston for the Raiders. Wait a minute, did we have a trade? We had a trade. The Texans traded with the Raiders. Okay, so the Texans traded with the Raiders. Second and a fourth for a second and a third. Second and a third for a second and a fourth. Looks like they're taking Caden McDonald here. All right, so the Texans trade up 2 spots to take Caden McDonald, nose tackle from Ohio State, joining another Ohio State Buckeye in Houston, in C.J. Stroud. Now we got the Giants on the clock. The Giants will be making their third pick this draft. They've already gotten a linebacker / edge rusher and an offensive tackle. They could go wide receiver here, maybe. Yeah, I think if I'm the Giants, I'm going Denzel Boston. Or maybe Colton Hood, the cornerback. It looks like last night my feed was a little bit ahead of people. Now it's a bit behind. This is interesting. Wonder why I'm getting such a delay tonight. So if the Giants are picking Colton Hood, which was what it sounds like, this is a 6 foot, 195-pound corner, former 3-star from McDonough, Georgia. Went to Eagles Landing Christian Academy, played quarterback, wide receiver, corner, and running back. He also played varsity baseball. Originally committed to Auburn, where he played 4 games and then transferred to Colorado. Played 13 games the following season with one start before transferring to Tennessee. He's got good arm length, great athleticism. Not the best of feet, but that can be coached out. Has some good awareness and can be a little inconsistent in run defense, but he's young. He's 21 years old, barely 21 years old. So there's a lot of room to grow for Hood. So I like Hood if the Giants are taking him there. Cade McDonald, like super emotional, crying on stage. Here comes the Giants pick. And again, we'll see if it's Colton Hood as reported. OC Umanor is making this pick with Roger Goodell. It is Colton Hood. It is Colton Hood. Okay. So interesting that Colton Hood goes before Jermod McCoy. That's interesting. So we got the Raiders on the board now. They moved down 2 spots with the trade with the Texans where they went up to get Caden McDonald. I still think for the Raiders, I like Denzel Boston here. I still like Denzel Boston. Good pick for the Giants in round 2. All right, Raiders pick is in. Let's see who they go with. I said I think they go wide receiver, but they did pick up Jalen Naylor, former Viking, in free agency. I still like getting a wide receiver here, but I don't know. Maybe they go offensive line. I just think it's a little bit of a reach for Jennings Dunker here. Maybe they go defense since they went quarterback in round 1. We got 4-time Super Bowl champion Matt Millen making the pick. Quoting Willie Brown. Wow. Okay, trading Stooks a safety. They picked Stooks over EMW and AJ Halsey. Wow. Wow. That's a bit of a reach, in my opinion. Trade on Stooks, Arizona safety or corner. I mean, he's listed as a corner on mock drafts, but he really plays safety more. So you're picking him over EMW and AJ Halsey. 6'2", 200 pounds, 24 years old. Walk on to starter at Arizona. Hybrid slot defender specialist. Definitely more of a box safety. I don't know about that pick, but they got him. They got their guy, Traydon Stoops. And the Browns pick is already in. Let's see what happens. So the Browns, who have already gotten a tackle and wide receiver, maybe they go Pregnon here. I don't think they reach on a quarterback, do they? I mean, if they reach on a quarterback, who would it be? Drew Aller, Carson Beck, Garrett Nussmeier, maybe Cade Klubnik. But I think they would go maybe Pregnon. I mean, they got Fano in the first round. I've also heard some whispers that they might look to edge. If they go edge, Cassius Howell's still on the board. Imagine Cassius Howell adding him to a defensive line with Myles Garrett and Mason Graham. Another sleeper pick for the Browns, in my opinion. Here, they did lose Devin Bush to free agency. They did lose Devin Bush, and CJ Allen is a first round caliber linebacker. I could see them potentially taking CJ Allen off the board here, or Jacob Rodriguez. It's interesting. Let's see. Is there anything out there about who the Browns are picking? I don't see anything yet. Really surprised at the Stooks pick. I really am. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting Stooks to go before Jermod McCoy, before Avion Terrell, before EMW, before Brandon Cisse, D'Angelo Pons, Keith Abney, AJ Halsey, Keontae Scott. I, I'm not saying Stooks is bad. If I was doing a mock draft for the Vikings and I missed out on uh, Thieneman and EMW and Halsey. Then Stukes is probably the next guy I would look to. So it's not that much of a reach, but you got EMW and AJ Halsey both still on the board, which don't get me wrong, I love the fact that they did not take AJ Halsey because I am hoping against hope that if Halsey gets past the Bengals, gets past the Colts, gets to 49 for the Vikings, that the Vikings don't shit the bed again and they pick AJ Halsey. Got Joe Hayden out there to make the selection for the Browns. Denzel Boston. Okay. Okay, I can see that. Denzel Boston, I think that's a good pick. Denzel Boston, former three-star receiver recruit from Puyallup, Washington, committed to the Huskies to stay home. It's a very smooth mover for a big receiver. Definitely an outside receiver that can move inside to the slot. He's quick on the release, really good on multi cuts or double move routes. He's got a very large catch radius. Pretty good after the catch, getting yards. He's a decent blocker in run blocking scenarios. Although he kind of like overextends himself in blocks often, but they can coach that out of him. Definitely like a specialist against like man to man coverage. He's all right against zone, but yeah, that's a good pick. So Cleveland Browns get the receiver Denzel Boston, and now the Kansas City Chiefs are making their next pick. They got Mansour Delane and Peter Woods, so I expect them to go offense here. Maybe they go wide receiver after seeing Denzel Boston go. If that's the case, then they would go maybe Chris Bell or Jeremy Bernard, maybe Eli Stowers. Wow. They go defense for a third pick in a row. Edge rusher R. Mason Thomas. So R. Mason Thomas goes before edge rusher Cassius Howell, before edge rusher Zion Young. Wow. R. Mason Thomas added to the D line for the Chiefs. 6'2", 249, 21 years old. Track background, explosive traits, pass rush upside, a little bit undersized for edge rusher. I don't know. I don't know if this is a good pick or not. We'll see how it plays out. But we got the Bengals on the board now. And this will be their first pick in the draft since they traded the number 10 pick for Dexter Lawrence. Could see them go CJ Allen here, Emmanuel Pregnon, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Maybe they go Cassius Howell if they think there's a run on edges, and they did lose Trey Hendrickson. Maybe they go Jacob Rodriguez here. Although I like Jacob Rodriguez a lot, but do they take him over CJ Allen? It'll be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to go defensive end. I think they're going to replace Trey Hendrickson. So, I mean, I would have to say it's probably Cassius Howell here. Let's see. All right, they're coming out, make the pick. He's got a suit lined with tiger stripes inside. Ken Anderson. It is Cassius Howell. So they're getting the Texas A&M edge rusher Cassius Howell, who's been mocked in the early first round for a long time. He's a little bit undersized for an edge rusher at 6'2 and a half, 253. Former three-star athlete from Kansas City, Missouri. Played football and basketball for Rockhurst High School. Committed originally to Bowling Green. Played there for 3 years, and then transferred to Texas A&M for his final 2 seasons. His height and weight are pretty good if he's playing as a stand-up outside linebacker. Arm length is a little bit shorter than what teams like to have, that 31-inch threshold. But it doesn't seem to really affect him as much as you would expect. He's very good with his hands. He has a variety of pass rush moves in his repertoire. Very good, strong understanding of timing and leverage, and how to use his hands striking the offensive lineman. So it kind of like evens the playing field with against tackles that have longer arms. He had like a let's see, 19% win rate in 3 straight seasons, and also featured a solid inside spin counter when his initial move doesn't work. Kind of a frenetic pass rusher that makes him a little bit difficult to handle for with standard pass blocking. I think this is a good pick. I think this is a really good pick, and he'll pair well with Dexter Lawrence on the defensive line. I do like that pick. All right, we got the Saints making their second pick here. They went Jordan Tyson in round 1. So here they might go linebacker CJ Allen, maybe. Marcus Colston's out there making the pick. No, they go Kristen Miller, defensive tackle from Georgia. Interesting. Okay. So Kristen Miller, defensive interior player, 6'4", 220. Sorry, 6'4", 310. Not quite 22 years old. Got a really solid frame to align as a nose tackle or 3 technique, depending on the scheme that he's in. He's got really good arm length for an interior defender. Not as twitchy or fast as you'd expect from a lot of nose tackles, but he's very good with his initial moves off the line. He's a pretty good run defender, pretty good with leverage, first step, and he's got. I mean, you just watch him play, and you can tell that he's got a very high football IQ and understanding of how to play the game. So he should be a pretty good pick here for the Saints. I actually like that pick quite a lot. Personally, I like Lee Hunter a little bit more there, but I can't argue with this pick. If he don't look like exactly like the one of those faces from the Madden creative player, I don't know. I don't know who does. That's funny. So we got the Dolphins on the board now at 43. So they took Caden Proctor in their first pick at 12. Now he is listed as a tackle, but I kind of project Caden Proctor to move inside to guard, which I think the Dolphins are probably fine with him at either spot, tackle or guard. And then they did kind of reach at 27 for Chris Johnson, the cornerback. I would have had Colton Hood and Avion Terrell above him, if not Jermod McCoy. I personally like McCoy, but I don't have access to his medical evaluations. I do like Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. I just think it was a little bit of a reach. But regardless, they went corner. So they've got an offensive lineman and a corner. I think they probably go wide receiver here. The best wide receiver on the board is probably Jeremy Bernard, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what type of receivers they're going to go for. Mike McDaniel's no longer there, so we can't just say, "Oh, they're going to go for the fastest receiver available." Um, Maybe they go Chris Brazel or Skylar Bell. Maybe they go a little bit deeper in the draft. Um, Maybe they take a shot on Eli Stowers and have him play that off that tight end big slot hybrid role. Kind of a weird spot with how the board has fallen if you're looking for a wide receiver, but I mean, my favorite receiver still on the board is probably Chris Brazel. Let's see if anything's leaked out about this pick. Don't see anything yet. And of course, we're on a commercial, so we don't get to see who they're picking yet. And I'm just going to say shout out to my Michigan Wolverines offensive line coach, Jim Harding, who had two offensive linemen go off the board that he developed last night in the first round, Caleb Lomu and Spencer Fano. Yeah, the fall of Jermod McCoy, that's interesting. Very similar to the Will Johnson fall last year. The Lions just traded up to the next pick at 44. Lions traded 50 and 128 to move up to 44. All right, we got the Dolphins pick here. Jacob Rodriguez. Okay, so they go defense with this pick. I really like Jacob Rodriguez. Probably one of my favorite prospects in the draft. I think he's going to be a very very high level starter in the NFL for a long time. Texas Tech linebacker. Let's see, 6'1", 235, 23 years old, elite football IQ, great instincts. He's got to develop a little bit of the physical tools, but I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be really good. All right, so we got the Lions on the clock now. In round one, they took, and I correctly predicted them taking offensive tackle Blake Miller to fill the right tackle role with Sewell moving over to left tackle. So their biggest needs now are probably edge rusher, D tackle, linebacker. That's where I would expect them to go. So CJ Allen here, Lee Hunter, Zion Young, might be on the board for them. Maybe even Derek Moore, edge out of Michigan. That would be a very popular pick for the Detroit Lions. Maybe they reach and go for my guy, Big Citrus, Dominique Orange. Let's see. Says that the pick is in. That Calvin Johnson. Derek Moore. I called it just now. Michigan. So they're picking the hometown kid. Played college ball for the last few years, an hour down the road from Detroit. That's my guy. Derek Moore. Lions fans are going to love that. 6'3", 260, 23 years old. A little bit of an undersized edge, but very good in run stopping, very high pass rush IQ, offline with quickness. He's got power. Anybody that saw the Senior Bowl rep against Markel Bell should remember that. He has the ability to play outside linebacker in a 3-4, but I like him most as a traditional 4-3 edge. He's going to be a very good player, and he's going to play opposite Aiden Hutchinson, another Wolverine edge. So the Lions, yeah, that's awesome. What up, GT? Yeah, I mean, they traded up to get Derek Moore to sit opposite Aiden Hutchinson, so you can't argue with that at all. Quick question, GT. Did Derek Moore ever share a locker room with Aiden Hutchinson at Michigan? Was he there in 21? He couldn't have been there in 20. Yeah, he could have been there in 21. Or did he come in the class after? Okay. I couldn't remember. I know Derek Moore was on the 23 team, but I don't remember 22. Okay. Actually, I guess I could look it up since they're on commercial. Let's see. Yeah, he was the 2022 class. So he came in right after Aiden Hutchinson. Good pick for the Lions. Great pick for the Lions. All right, so we got the Baltimore Ravens, the Jesse Minter-led Baltimore Ravens on the clock. Looks like their pick is in, but we're still on commercial. So just to recap, they did take a Penn State guard, Olavivenga Yawani, I think is how you say it. Olavivenga Yawani. I believe that's how you say his name. Kioki, if you watch this, if you're in the chat, comment for me and let me know if I said that right. Olavivenga Yawani from Penn State. So they got a guard. I could see them going wide receiver here. I could see them going linebacker, CJ Allen. I think it's too early for center. They got their edge rusher and Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, so maybe Jeremy Bernard here. Jeremy Bernard or CJ Allen would be probably my predictions here. Skylar Bell, I could see maybe if they don't like Jeremy Bernard. Yeah, I mean I could see him going wide receiver. I could see him going linebacker. CJ Allen's still on the board. I would probably go CJ Allen. They did go offense last night, and you got to imagine Jesse Minter wants a defensive guy, and we know Jesse likes to run his defense through the linebackers. So yeah, I like CJ Allen. Here's an interesting trade. The Cowboys sent pick 152 to the 49ers for linebacker D. Winters per Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter. Who's that? Is that the running back from Alabama? Mark no, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, Mark Ingram. That's what I thought it was. Mark Ingram brought his son out there, and in the microphone, he yells, "Steelers still suck" to the crowd in Pittsburgh. That's awesome. That's awesome. This crowd is so disrespectful. Like he's giving props to the girls' flag football team, and like the crowd is just booing him the whole time. Like, come on, be respectful. Zion Young, edge from Mizzou. Okay, I thought they'd go linebacker, but you know what? Jesse Minter needs and wants another edge opposite Trey Hendrickson, and they go Zion Young from Mizzou, former Michigan State Spartan, three-star defensive lineman at Atlanta Westlake in Georgia. Started 11 games with the Spartans, then transferred to Mizzou in 24 and 25. So you got to imagine Jesse Minter probably is familiar with him um, from coaching at Michigan against Michigan State. 6'5", 255, long arms, strong for his size. Good run defender. Has a motor. I mean, he's the kind of player you want to play alongside. Needs to develop a little bit as a pass rusher. And not the greatest athlete. But I mean, if you're playing opposite Trey Hendrickson, you know what? You kind of, if you're good at stopping the run and you're a passable pass rusher, I think Zion Young will do well in Jesse Minter's scheme. All right, we got the Baltimore. I'm sorry, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers up next at 46. Tampa Bay's pick is in. They're sending out Rondé Barber to make the pick. Uh-oh. Wow. The Buccaneers picked Josiah Trotter from Missouri. So back-to-back Mizzou Tigers coming off of the boards. Josiah Trotter. Um, let's see. 6'2", 237. A physical downhill linebacker. Excels in a 3-4 style scheme. He's got to get better in coverage, but at pass rush and run stopping is pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, GT. I mean, he's still 2 years of eligibility and chose to come out as a second round pick. I would have liked to see him get another year of seasoning in college, work on his pass coverage, maybe try to improve his speed a little bit. But you know what? Maybe he wanted to join his brother in the NFL early. All right, the Colts are trading their pick to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's moving up. Pittsburgh's moving up. Let's see if I can get the trade. Okay, so they're giving up 53, 135, and 237 for 47 and 249. $237, 53, 135, and 237. All right, Steelers on the clock. Their pick is in. Let's see who they traded up ahead of the Vikings and Falcons to go get. Is it a quarterback? A running back? Could be a QB, although I don't know why they would trade up. I don't know who else was going to be looking at QB. Send out John Stallworth to make the pick. Jeremy Bernard, the wide receiver. So they wanted to get ahead of the Falcons and Vikings, who are both in the market for a wide receiver. They're getting Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver out of Alabama, 6'1", 204, 22 years old, high football IQ, a high floor receiver, little physically limited. I like shout out to my guy Thor Nystrom. The way he described Jeremy Bernard is he's the guy who's not necessarily an A at anything, but he's a B plus at everything. He's going to be a solid receiver in the NFL for years because of his IQ and because he does everything well, but nothing exceptionally, which isn't a bad thing. That's not a knock on him. He doesn't have any weaknesses. So it's a good pick for the Steelers. All right, so Jeremy Bernard to the Steelers. And now we've got the Atlanta Falcons at 48 on the clock. Atlanta Falcons have a bunch of needs. They haven't had a pick yet in this draft because last year they traded up to get James Pierce. So this is their first pick in the draft. They could go wide receiver. They could go defensive tackle. They could go linebacker, corner. So we could see a couple guys that have fallen a little bit. Jermod McCoy, CJ Allen, Avion Terrell. Any one of those guys could be the pick. Brandon Cisse, maybe. Lee Hunter. All five of those guys would be a great value pick here for the Falcons. It'll be interesting to see who they go for. All right, so I'm seeing a report here that the Falcons are drafting Avion Terrell to reunite him with his brother AJ Terrell. Still waiting to see it get confirmed. But I did see one thing here. Albert Breer on X 1 minute ago tweeted out Avion and AJ Terrell reunited. So that's okay. So I think the Vikings should go safety here, either Emmanuel McNeil Warren or AJ Halsey. Personally, I like Halsey better, but I could see him going EMW here. That's funny, GT. You know what's crazy? The affair with Vrabel started when he was in Tennessee about 5 years ago. Her oldest son is 5 years old, and his name is Michael. I think it's Michael Andrew, which is the same first and middle name of Mike Vrabel. Like it's diabolical, dude. It's crazy. Like she is such a. I can't believe that, dude. Like, right? Fits right in with Urban and Wexler. Michael Hall and that one that just got arrested for something with his ex. Avion Terrell goes to the Falcons. So Albert Breer was right. Avion's going to play with his brother AJ. Yeah, because that iPhone footage from row 76 across the field really helped us beat Ohio State. Okay, I don't like this. The Vikings trading back here. They should have traded back last night. I don't like them trading back here. You got Halsey and EMW both on the board. I don't like this. See if I can. So the Vikings trade with the Panthers to move back 2 spots here from 49 to 51, but then they trade the 196 for the 159, so they move up by almost 40 spots. So the Panthers move up to 49. Let's see who they end up picking here. The pick is already in. They could go Ted Hurst here, Chris Bell, Chris Brazel, Skylar Bell, Bryce Lance at wide receiver. They could go tight end for Eli Stowers. I kind of like Eli Stowers to the Panthers. Lee Hunter is a defensive tackle that they could jump up to get here. Lee, Lee Hunter. That's who it's going to be. Lee Hunter. So the Panthers traded up with my Vikings to get Lee Hunter, 6'4", 330, defensive tackle out of Texas Tech. 4 seasons there, had a career best 80.9 PFF grade in 2025, 84.5 run defense grade, solid pass rushing, but not spectacular, 26 pressures, 72.1 grade. Okay. I really like Lee Hunter. So Lee Hunter goes to the Panthers, and the Jets are on the board. So I bet the Jets here we're looking at getting Lee Hunter, and that's why the Panthers moved up 2 spots. So the Jets here might pivot to maybe they go Keith Abney, Brandon Cisse, Jermod McCoy, Keontae Scott. Maybe they go Chris Brazel. By the way, GT or anybody that's in the chat, if you want to come up on stage and talk draft with me, you're more than welcome. Let me know, and I'll put the link in the chat. See what the Jets come in and get. Think they go quarterback maybe? Take Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, Carson Beck. Oh wow. I don't like this, GT. Um, Elliot Cadeau declared for the 2026 NBA draft. Nope. Don't like that. Yeah, he said he was, but it was posted just 15 minutes ago. Elliot Cadeau declared NBA draft, maintaining his college eligibility, but he's declaring for the NFL draft or NBA draft. Excuse me. All right, the Jets pick is in. Let's see. Looks like they're going to take cornerback D'Angelo Pons, according to Ari Moreau from My Sports Update. D'Angelo Pons is the pick, cornerback out of Indiana. So the Jets picked Omar Cooper from Indiana to end the round last night. And now with their next pick, they go with D'Angelo Pons, also from Indiana. And now my Vikings are back on the clock. Interesting thing here. Um, Move the Sticks had D'Angelo Pons player comp, compared him to Aaron Glenn, the head coach of the New York Jets. Vikings are on the clock. And this news just came out for Adam Schefter. The Baltimore Ravens will play the Dallas Cowboys in the 2026 NFL Rio game in Rio de Janeiro at the Maracana Stadium on Sunday, September 27th. All right, the Vikings pick is in. Probably EMW, although I personally like AJ Halsey. If it's not a safety, we riot. Jake Golday. They went linebacker, Jake Golday. So they take Jake Golday instead of a safety, and they take him over CJ Allen. Fire KOC, man. Fire KOC. Fire KOC. Yeah, fire KOC, man. Could have got Emmanuel McNeil Warren, who fell from round one, into your hands to help let you make up for your bad pick in round one, and you pass on him for Jake Golday. Come on, man. Wow. All right, GT. Appreciate you stopping in, man. Have a good night. Enjoy your time with the in-laws, or at least don't get murdered. Tell the family I said hey. Even if there's something that's come up about EMW and why he's falling, even if there's some reason why EMW is falling, AJ Halsey's right there. And safety is a bigger need by far than linebacker. This is insane. Our worst position group last year on defense was defensive back, corner, and safety. Metellus playing out of position, Byron Murphy playing out of position, no depth at either one. Theo Jackson's trash. Hitman's, half of what he used to be. Our best corner was Fabian Moreau, and we're 2 rounds into the draft. They passed on Jermon McCoy. They passed on Dylan Thieneman. They passed on Emmanuel McNeil Warren. They passed on every corner that's been taken. They just passed on AJ Halsey to take an injured defensive tackle in first round that nobody thought was going until the second round. And Jake Golday, a linebacker out of Cincinnati, with CJ Allen on the board. Fire KOC, man. Fire KOC. Packers go corner with Brandon Cisse, South Carolina cornerback. It's a good pick. Brandon Cisse, 6', 190, 20 years old, not even 21 yet. Not as physical as you'd like in a corner, but he's got a lot of explosiveness, quick twitch. He's going to be a very good starting caliber corner in the NFL. Man, it's crazy as a Vikings fan watching the Lions, the Bears, the Packers nail their drafts, and watching KOC run this team into the ground. Kwesi was not the problem. The problem is Kevin O'Connell. Call it a crash out if you want to, but it's true. Colts are up. Pat McAfee's making the pick. CJ Allen goes 2 picks later to the Colts, and we took Jake Golday. Colts take CJ Allen. Wow. cannot believe the incompetence of KOC. I cannot believe we took Jake Golday when he was on the when CJ Allen was on the board. Is what it is, I guess. The Eagles pick is in at 54. They're going to have Brian Westbrook make the pick. Eli Stowers goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a great pick. It's a great pick. Great pick by the Eagles. Moved up and took Makai Lemon in round 1. They get Eli Stowers in round 2. They're trading A.J. Brown to the Patriots post June 1st. All right, we got a trade. The Chargers have traded their pick to New England. See if I can find what that trade is. All right, so the Chargers get 63, 131, and 202. 63, 131, and 202. Patriots are on the clock. They got Caleb Lomu in round 1. Got to think that the run on linebackers is what's getting them here. Maybe they go Kyle Lewis from Pitt. Or they could go defensive line. Maybe they go Big Citrus, Dominique Orange. Maybe they go Daryl Jackson Jr. from Florida State. Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker out of Texas. I'd say it'd probably be one of those 4 guys. Eli Stowers had a combine record with a 45-inch vertical and 11.3 broad jump. Dylan Thieneman, Caden McDonald, Peter Woods on the board, and we reach and take Caleb Banks. EMW still on the board. AJ Halsey still on the board. CJ Allen still on the board. And we picked Jake Golday. It's crazy, man. We currently don't have a starting safety, and we chose a backup linebacker. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy, man. All right, breaking news. Adam Schefter, 30 seconds ago. The Vikings are sending former Pro Bowl linebacker Jonathan Grenard to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a third-round pick tonight, number 98, and a third-round pick next year, per Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter. So 2 third-round picks for Jonathan Grenard. Okay, Patriots go with Gabe Akis. They called him a linebacker. He's listed as an edge from Illinois. Gabe Akis. The J is silent. Gabe Akis. Jaguars are on the clock. The Eagles are giving former Vikings edge rusher Jonathan Grenard a 4-year, $100 million deal. Jaguars pick is in. Nate Borkacher, tight end, drafted by the Jaguars. Wow. It's a bit of a reach. I had him as my fifth tight end on the board still. Okay. Texas A&M tight end, 6'4", 250, almost 25 years old. He's a sixth-year senior. Good run blocker. Good athleticism. Not great pass catching stats. I don't know if I agree with that. I think he's a day 3 guy, not a day 2 guy, but Jaguars get their tight end and Nate Borkercher. So Minnesota sends Jonathan Grenard and the 244th pick in this year's draft to the Philadelphia Eagles for the 98th overall pick tonight and a 2027 third round pick. Probably finish out round 2, guys. I'm not gonna continue for I'm not gonna continue for round 3. Um, All right, so we got the Bears at 57. Their pick is in. We'll see what happens here. Logan Jones, center out of Iowa. So now starts the run on centers. So the Bears get two guys that a lot of Vikings fans wanted for the Vikings in Dylan Thieneman and Logan Jones. This is why the Vikings, as long as they are owned by the Wilfs, will not succeed in the NFC North. So the Browns just traded up and took Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Wow. Wow. All right, Texans are up. Their pick is in. Looks like the Titans have traded up with the Bears. Wow. University of Michigan, Marlon Klein goes in round 2 to the Houston Texans. Wow. He goes before Max Claret at Ohio State, before Sam Roush at Stanford, before Michael Trigg at Baylor, before Justin Joly from NC State, before Jack Endries, all of whom were projected higher than Marlon Klein. He goes to the Texans at 59. Marlon Klein to the Texans in round 2. All right, we got a trade here with the Bears and the Titans. Let me see if I can find that information. All right. So the Titans move up, and it looks like they're going to be taking. Where is he? Anthony Hill Jr. is what I just heard. For the Texans. I'm sorry, from Texas for the Titans. The Vikings yet again let us down. I was so excited for the NFL draft, and the Vikings Viking again. Anthony Hill Jr. to the Titans. So it looks like the Rams are on the clock now. All right, the Rams pick is in. Let's see. They picked Ty Simpson in round 1. Max Clare, tight end, Ohio State, goes to the Rams. Denver trades their pick to Buffalo. Bills went with edge TJ Parker earlier in this round, and now they trade back up into the tail end. Got to think that they go Pregnon here. He kind of fell, or AJ Halsey, my guy. Yeah, and that's something else. When we picked Caleb Banks last night, KOC and Brzezinski both went on immediate damage control at the podium and claimed that we have the best doctors in the country, maybe in the world. Best doctors in the country, maybe in the world. Yeah, the way that they handled the Christian Darrisaw injury, best doctors in the world. The way that that Aaron Jones was constantly injured last year, best doctors in the world. The way that it took JJ McCarthy 8 weeks to get back from a high ankle sprain, best doctors in the world. The way that they sent Carson Wentz out there with one arm, best doctors in the world. And if we've got the best doctors in the world, why are we letting Jamon McCoy fall? The Bills pick is in. The Bills go for Davison Igbinosun, the grabby corner out of Ohio State. Wow, before Keith Abney, Keontae Scott, that's a that's a bust of a pick. He gets flagged for his hands more than Diddy. Davison Diddy Noson. Diddy know, son. Great pick by the Bills. That's funny. Chargers on the clock. They got Akeem Messidor in round one. They could go wide receiver here. Chris Bell, Emmanuel Pregnon guard, defensive interior. Maybe they go big citrus. I definitely think Jim Harbaugh would love big citrus. AJ Halsey at safety. I could see it. All right, Chargers pick is in. I'd love Jim Harbaugh to get big citrus here. What was that about? Jake Slaughter, but they're going to play him at guard out of Florida. Wow. Wow. All right, so we're on the final pick of the night. Seattle Seahawks. They picked Jadarian Price last night in round one. They could use an edge rusher and a DB. Do they take the falling Jermod McCoy? Do they go Keith Abney corner? I don't think they go Halsey for safety. Keontae Scott. See, the problem with Abney and Scott is they're slot corners, and they need to replace Woolen. Maybe they go edge rusher with Joshua Josephs. Danny Dennis Sutton, maybe. They could go Zachariah Branch, but again, where how do you project him? Elijah Surratt might be a guy. 6'2", 213. Maybe Elijah Surratt's on the Seahawks radar. I gotta think it's one of those guys, maybe. Okay, I'm hearing that Bud Clark might be the pick going to Seattle. Yep. Bud Clark, safety from TCU, goes to the Seahawks. So Bud Clark goes before AJ Halsey, Kamari Ramsey, Genesis Smith, and Zakee Wheatley. 6'2", 190, just under 24 years old, long, explosive playmaker, strong ball skills, a little undersized in the strength department, needs to get better in run defense, but overall a good player. I like him. All right, guys. Well, that's the second round. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Enjoy the rest of the day 2 with round 3. You can follow me everywhere on social media at Kinetik615. My gaming channel, Kinetik Plays. You can also see the GoFundMe link in the description if you want to check that out. Feel free to shoot me a message on X at Kinetik615. If you have any questions or just want to give me feedback or chat it up, as long as you're respectful, I'll try to respond. But until next time, guys, as always, for me, from Skull Blue Sports, it's Skull Vikes and go blue.